Nemesis Prime, G1. Dr. Artful, seeking to create an evil leader greater than Megatron, used a impulse cloner to duplicate Optimus Prime. The Doctor twisted Prime imported incense to evil with a rewriting program, but the clone still lacked life. He experimented with the substance link-up to the channel of a life force, but the operation was interrupted. A time wrap suddenly appeared and produced a mysterious orb that touched the clone's body, causing the clone to both activate and vanish. Meanwhile, on Diamond Island, the Autobots had just sent a drone into the past with the intent to restoring the correct timeline, expecting reality to charge around them, returning to the proper state of life. Instead, the correct flow of history caused their alternate timeline to become undone, as all of their reality was torn apart by the dark holes. The Dark Prime extended his hands as an orb of light, lighting the first around the island, and then the entire world. The warp holes were ignited and extinguished, and the clone announced that he had used the power of the spark that now inhabited to preserve the final time that the Autobots had inhabited. The Autobots continued questioning this Black Optimus, who explained he was a spark who had been sent back in time from a distant future, referring to himself only as, quote, the Protector. His mission was to preserve the Biotechs as their existence would in the future bring about, quote, the great existence, involving beings and who would protect across the multi-universes. Using what remained of the Protector's power, the clone rejected his foreign spark and formed a warp portal black to the Doctor's lab. The clone was still able to leap through the portal to its creator. There, the Doctor would decide to conduct one last experiment. This one succeeding in connecting the clone to an ancient, evil, greedy life form. At last, the Doctor's creation became Nemesis Prime. Seeking to make himself as powerful as the great Optimus Prime, Nemesis Prime planned to create an artifact matrix by using a device to wrench minds from their bodies and combine them in a crystalline storage unit. Nemesis Prime was prevented by the Autobots, led by Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus. The two Primes went one-on-one during this great battle, but when Optimus was sent tumbling into the riverbanks, the Protector's spark flew to the hands and infused him, lending Prime its power. Supercharged by the power of the Protector's spark, Optimus absorbed Nemesis Prime's next attack and redirected upon his dark twin, and finally destroyed Nemesis and his body, explode into shards of Cybertronian metal. Nemesis Prime, TF Armada. Nemesis Prime is a monstrous transformer sent to kill all Autobots and Decepticons alike. It scanned the minds of the Transformers and took the form of Optimus Prime, as it was the most powerful and respected in all the minds of the Transformers. As a duplicate of Optimus Prime, Nemesis had all the Prime's strengths, powers, and in addition, its own ability to reconstruct himself. Nemesis Prime was encountered by a party of Transformers on a strange planet composed of salt and techno-organic materials. After they fell into a wormhole that had taken the shape due to Unicron's lack of a physical body, Nemesis Prime was Unicron created, being that the very savage and federal in nature, using the Vorpal saber nearly to destroy several of the Autobots and Decepticons. Although he was beastly and insane, his exact motives and personalities were unknown, as he's simply a puppet to the great Dark Lord. Nemesis Prime was eventually destroyed by a combined blast from Galvatron using the Requiem blaster and Optimus Prime using his new Overlord power units. Sideways was seen fleeing the scene in a trans-phase mode, while Nemesis Prime remains scattered about the area. Mysterious, the planet immediately began to break down and was destroyed afterwards. Nemesis Prime, Transformers Prime. The human-manufactured robot known as Nemesis Prime is a mindless drone created by Mech, controlled remotely by a human operator. In order to cause physiological and literal damage, the machine was built in the exact likeness of Optimus Prime, the leader of the Autobots. Nemesis is capable of operating as both a semi-truck or a humanoid combat robot with the same strengths, agility, firepower, except with the mech of control led by Silas. Having no mind for its own, it therefore has none of Prime's moral strengths. The first attempt to create Nemesis Prime, however, was less than successful, without access to pure energon. They were helped by Starscream, now a rogue, who approached Mech with a deal to give them access to energon, so long as Starscream had to share it with them. After finding some energon, the Nemesis prototype began to work. Nemesis Prime attempted to ram Agent Fowler off a bridge, but retreated when the Autobots had arrived on the scene. Arsene followed it into an abandoned station where Nemesis blindsided her, knocking her unconscious. Later, Optimus Prime would lead the Autobots and began attacking the military base. Many of the base vehicles were destroyed, and the blame was put all on Optimus Prime. Nemesis Prime confronted the Autobots when they were closing in on Mech's operation base. Taking them one by one, Optimus confronted it in combat after the Autobots had been defeated. After a lengthy battle, it seemed that Nemesis Prime had the advantages since it was designed to withstand pain. But before Nemesis could finish off Optimus, Silas had to vacate the robot control chair by Agent Fowler, who had made his way into the building and taken out the Mech members. Nemesis was left out attack and non-operational, allowing Optimus Prime to gain the upper hand. After defeating Fowler, Silas desperately jumped back into the chair, but it was too late. Optimus smashed Nemesis through the roof of the Mech Tech base, crushing both the equipment, control center, and Silas himself. The wounded Mech leader was pulled safely by his men. Nemesis Prime's body was placed in a storage unit by the military. Nova Prime was the predecessor to Nemesis Prime. Once the elite soldier Nova Major, he led an unfactioned and divided Cybertron, ascending the leadership for his people. Nova Prime believed that the Transformers were the greatest among all life forms and that they should be bring to their glory to all lesser races throughout the universe. After being stuck into the dead universe, Nova was chosen to be the host for pure darkness, an unworthy compartment of the matrix of leadership, which worked by transforming inhabitants of the dead universe into undead wielders of anti-life. Nova was reborn as the sinister and extremely powerful Nemesis Prime. He now sees his mission to fulfill the darkness by expanding the dead universe, hold it in the living realm, and be worshipped as a god. Nemesis may seem to hold the sway over both his troops and darkness, but nothing could be further from the truth. The powerful Galvatron sees the darkness as his rightful inheritance, and then there is the fear. The fear that the darkness has more in common with the matrix of leadership than Nemesis is comfortable with. He feels he has earned the power, and isn't willing to see the natural path, as it is therefore the reason he must eliminate Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime and his Matrix in the light of the darkest hour. And for that reason alone, that is the reason why he fears the last Prime. Nemesis Prime, Herald of Unicron. Nemesis is a dark clone of Optimus Prime who was left for dead by Megazurka to rot on the shores of the Rust Sea. The Prime was cloned by Unicron and woken slowly to the Dark God's torture. Completely broken, this Prime is an eternal servant and begs for the consuming nothing of Unicron's victory over the multi-universes. Anything else preferred to the Flood to inflict the suffering of his own pure existence. His only weakness is what tiny rotten portion is left of his honor. He carries within him the dead Matrix, possibly the only true thing that can kill Unicron's enemy, Primus. Nemesis Prime, live-action universe, Transformers The Last Night. With the bounty on his head placing the entire Earth in danger, Optimus Prime blasts off into space with the seed to confront the creators and discover the mystery behind his own origins. As he leaves Earth's atmosphere, Optimus Prime sends a message to the creators to leave planet Earth alone, because he was coming for them. Although it was not confirmed, Optimus on his quest went into sleep mode to restore Energon after his battle with Lockdown and would float into space. After 3 years, he would land on his former home, Cybertron. Prime would be in shock to finally land and see his home planet. Prime would notice his home world was on the brink of death. Optimus would hear a female voice in the depths of Cybertron. "Your world is dying. I've been waiting for you, Optimus. Come meet your maker." Optimus would respond, "You are my maker?" The female would respond, "I am Quintessa, the Prime of Life." Optimus would attempt to kill Quintessa, only to finally see his maker's true and evil power. Quintessa would use her powers to chain Optimus and respond with saying, "How dare you strike your god?" Quintessa then would blame Optimus for the death in the war of Cybertron. Quintessa would refer to Optimus as her perfect creation, and then would slap him across his face, transforming and placing a red infection on the side of Optimus's face. Optimus would now be hers to command. Once Optimus' anger was under control, Quintessa would educate her perfect creation about the mysteries behind the secrets he had long wondered. Quintessa would provide the knowledge to Prime about the 12 Guardian Knights who escaped with the powerful artifact, aka the Staff, and hide it on Earth. Quintessa would refer to Earth as Unicron. Optimus would know this as the ancient Dark Lord of Cybertron. Once the staff was retrieved, Quintessa would provide Optimus the knowledge that she would use the powers from Unicron's spark to be able to retrieve Cybertron. This would become the witness and birth of Nemesis Prime. Nemesis Prime would arrive in an ancient ship located deep in the depths of the ocean. Arriving at the end of the ship, Prime would kill a couple of Guardian Knights. Using the sword, he would become known as his Absolution and would finally face his former friends and allies. Cade Yeager would convince Vivian to hand over the staff to Optimus, only to realize after this was a new and evil Prime and no longer his true friend Optimus. Now knowing the evil Prime's true plan to use the artifact to bring Cybertron back to Earth, Cade would tell Bumblebee to remember his old days. Bumblebee would charge Nemesis and fight a hard battle against his former leader. The underwater ship would begin rising from the ocean. Bumblebee would fight heroically, but Nemesis was too strong and too powerful. Nemesis would rip and tear off the wings that be, screaming, "You are nothing." Nemesis would use the sword from his hand, raise in the sky, and hit the mask of Bumblebee. The first blow was a miss. Bumblebee would use his face mask to prevent the sword hitting directly Bumblebee's face. Nemesis would take one last shot, raising the sword up into the sky and strike down to end the spark of B. Bumblebee would speak right after the missed shot, quote, "I am Bumblebee, your oldest friend. Optimus, I would lay my life for you." Nemesis would rise off of Bumblebee. Nemesis would rise off of Bumblebee and say, quote, "Bumblebee, your voice. I have not heard it since Cybertron fell." The infection from Quintessa would disappear from Nemesis Prime's face. The voice of Bumblebee would cure the infection from Quintessa and arise the hero we know as Optimus Prime. Make sure to send my fiance some questions. I will make sure to acknowledge your questions, say your name, give you a shout out. But yeah, get to know a little bit from a non-Transformers fan. We're gonna do a video. My next video is gonna be strictly focusing on that. So you're gonna meet my fiance. Make sure to send some questions. We're gonna do a non-Transformers fan and a Transformers fan, kind of a Q&A movie breakdown of the last night. So to my subscribers, I love you so much. Make sure to hit that like button if you're not familiar. We dig deep in the lore of Transformers. Again, to my subscribers, I love you so much. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. LPS, Last Prime Speculator. Peace.